So, Devin, one of the things that's happening now is as I'm getting older is I don't really understand what's going on in the social media world with these young pop stars and singers and whatever. But watching this week, I saw this commercial that Tate McRae did for Team USA for the Olympics, and I don't understand because you see Tate McRae all over hockey Twitter, unless you're living under a rock. And I thought she was Canadian, and she is Canadian. So, what's going on here?
Um, maybe a popular pop star is just trying to capitalize on her boost right now. I don't know. Yeah. I from my knowledge, she's a real big Calgary Flames fan. I think going back to when she was a kid. So yeah, a little weird, that's for sure.
I don't get it. I just don't understand it, like the marketing ploys or whatever. But I guess it's put a young, attractive pop star, even in a Canadian outfit, and U.S. fans are up in an uproar. So
Maybe they couldn't flip the bill for Sabrina Carpenter.
Welcome to the Flying Octopus Podcast, offering a new perspective on Red Wings hockey, as well as all the important news from around the NHL. And now, here are your hosts, Tony Wolak, Devin Little, and Evan Sabrin.
Hey, it's Carter Bear, and you're listening to the Flying Octopus Podcast.
welcome to episode 71 of the Flying Octopus Podcast, the Dylan Larkin edition. We finally made it. Hoping that's a good sign since 71's now headed over to Italy to play for Team USA. I'm your co-host, Evan Sabrin, joined as always by my co-host, Devin Little. A lot to discuss today on this episode. Red Wings' inconsistency reared its ugly head again this week, losing 5-0 to the Avs on Saturday, and then pulling the roller coaster and beating the Avs 2-0 in Colorado on Monday. And that's before they went ahead into the break and laid a dud versus Mammoth on Wednesday. So Wings power play has struggled these past few weeks, and Devin and I are going to dive into that a little bit as well. And then we're going to try something a little different on this show, a different topic. We're trying to get a little more topic-oriented here in the Flying Octopus Podcast. And I wanted to get into this Gavin McKenna situation because it was kind of crazy how this all went down the other day, Devin. We first saw a tweet that, accused him of felony assault. And so that's the first thing everyone sees, and opinions are flying everywhere about what happened. And then the details start to come out and just the perception of what he did and how that may impact his future. Is it something that, GMs are going to look at and say, hey, maybe this is a kid we want who's, standing up for his mother. But we'll get into that as well. And before we get started, I'd like to remind everyone where you can find us. You can find us on Twitter at Flying Octopod. Check us out on YouTube at The Flying Octopod, and you can find us on iTunes, Spotify, or wherever you get your podcasts. So let's start off with Saturday versus the Avs in Detroit. Apparently the flu bug's still around. That's what Helene St. James tweeted out earlier this week. Nathan McKinnon scored twice, become the league's first 40-goal scorer this season, and the Avs kind of pounded Detroit 5-0. Avs dominated this one. It was kind of an ugly one for Detroit. They looked flat-footed, a little slow. Gibson ended up getting yanked in this one. Did you see the Nathan McKinnon goal, too, in the first period, where he just kind of did a dipsy-do around right at the blue line and then just ripped one? Like, that guy is something special, man. I love watching that guy play. Did you see that one?
Yeah. Oh yeah. When he's not trying to yank people's arms off, McKinnon's a very special player, that's for sure.
Dude, that was pretty dirty, by the way. Like, Nathan McKinnon trying to rip Raymond in the game. Like, what? That Nathan McKinnon has strong wrists, people. Very strong wrists. Like, and he could probably yank his guy's shoulder socket right out. He could take Raymond's shoulder out, and that was ugly by him. I don't really. Do you consider him a dirty player?
I know, but after it happened and it was kind of going around on social media, I saw people who aren't like Wings fans, just other people kind of saying that he's kind of like underrated and doing some sleazy things from time to time. So I personally know, but maybe it's because I don't watch him a ton. But yeah, I know I was a little thrown back by his little yank he had in that game.
Oh, dude, that guy, that was dirty to me. I thought that was really dirty and a bad look for him, but I'm still a huge fan of that guy's game, man. That guy is elite superstar. He's probably, and I'll even say this, I enjoy watching that guy more than I enjoy watching Connor McDavid. The way he moves with the puck and just he's a absolute stud. So what do the Red Wings do, Devin? Monday they head out to Colorado and beat Colorado 2-0. Just shutting them down. It was outshot the Avs 25-21 in this one. Defensively, I thought that was one of the best games of the year. And I really feel like I'm seeing Albert Johansson just kind of, raise his game just a little to the point where we're seeing a little common consistency from him from game to game. What do you think about that?
I would 100% agree. I think that it's interesting. Usually you see players kind of fall off around this time of year. You're starting to get into the dog days of winter, right? I feel like Johansson, even like last year, first couple of months, up and down. Obviously, last year he was still trying to establish himself as a full time NHLer. But I think overall, you would say that the first half of his season it was okay, and then somewhere in the second half, he really took off and he started to look really good next to Simon Edvinsson. Everyone was kind of starting to get on the same page about this is the guy right here. And I don't know, maybe Johansson's just gonna be one of those guys that you just got to kind of wait until the second half of the season kicks in, and then he really starts to take off. Because I would agree, and I would even, not to jump too far out with this, I've even thought that Jacob Bernard-Docker has been pretty good, filling in for Simon Edvinsson next to Moritz Seider on the top pairing. He's not overcomplicating things. I think he's having success by keeping it simple and maybe just deferring to Seider at times. But he's holding his own, right? He's not. He's not obviously standing out on that top pairing for bad reasons, and he obviously had really big skates to fill with Edvinsson being out. So both of those guys that have been on the bottom pairing primarily this season have really looked good the last couple of weeks, I'd say.
Yeah, the Red Wings obviously need it with Simon Edvinsson still out, who went on the IR this past week, and hopefully we'll see him as soon as the Olympics are over when they face the Senators later this February. The last time they beat Colorado in Colorado was February 27th, 2016 in that stadium series that they did at Coors Field. So that was a nice one. And again, you see the inconsistencies with this team, a 5-0 drubbing by Colorado, but in years past, like, you really want to see the Red Wings come out with some fire. And they really did in this one. A statement win, I would say, for Detroit. They're playing with the big boys there. And there's a reason the Colorado Avalanche are a contender for the Stanley Cup this year. And that was beautiful to watch. What do you think?
I would agree. I think that coming off of that ugly loss against the Avalanche a couple nights prior, I think that you could tell that they went into this game looking to make a statement against the same team, against one of the top teams in the NHL. Like there's a lot of ingredients going into that game where they definitely wanted to put their best foot forward, and John Gibson obviously gets a shutout. Defensively, I thought the team looked really strong, especially impressive given the significant injury or the significant absence of Simon Edvinsson. I think that they played like a team that really wanted the W that night, and like I said, wanted to make a statement that they can hang with teams like this. And maybe the emotional gravitas of getting this win kind of then led to a letdown in the next game. And that's kind of what it felt like to me, is that they got so excited and they had a hard earned win against the Avalanche that then a couple nights later when they went into Utah, they didn't necessarily have the same juice.
Speaking of that dud, Devin, Mammoth came out on top 4-1 on Wednesday. That was the Wings' fourth loss in their last 5. Wings in the past 2 weeks, 1 for 17 on the power play. So I'm curious, like, what's going on here, Devin? Because Detroit's power play is still tied for 8th in the league with the Sens, 23.1 success rate, tied for 6th with Vegas with 42 power play goals. Is it puck luck, or do they need to try something new there?
I think it's a combination of both, to be honest. I think that they could definitely use a little more puck luck going their way, but I also think that maybe it is time to shock the system a little bit And it wouldn't be the first time they've done that this season. I know Patrick Kane began the season on the top power play, has moved to the second power play. They've kind of moved some guys around as guys got hot and whatnot. And every now and then, it just kind of seems like the power play needs a shock to the system, so to speak. And I think that maybe that's where they are again. Not anything. I don't think that they look lost like they maybe did in years prior. I still think that the structure's there. I still think that they kind of know what they're intending to do at least. I think that there's maybe some decisiveness issues going on right now. I think maybe that's part of it. For one reason or another, they need some guys to take charge of the power play again. But all things considered, I'm not super concerned if this stretch continues and we're getting into March and the trade deadline, and then even after that, and the power play still struggling, then we might have an issue, and the Red Wings will need to seriously, invest time and thought into getting that fixed. Because as good as they have been this season, I think that their power play, they aren't going to be able to get where they want to go if the power play is all of a sudden mediocre. So. Not time for panic yet, but definitely something to keep an eye on and something they may have to fix in the near future.
Yeah, I'm not worried about the power play either at this point. There has been some bad luck. I'll wrap it up to two things: puck luck, and then you can kill me for saying that the flu bug is no joke. I know as soon as you say that on social media, you'll get clapped back at saying, every team goes through a flu bug, but playing hockey with the flu is it's pretty difficult.
Listen, 2 episodes ago, I was trying to power through. I'm sure you heard it in my voice. I was going through it. If that's what's going through the locker room right now, there's no way in hell I'd be able to play anything. Obviously, these are seasoned athletes, and I'm just a dude on a podcast. But like, what I dealt with was no joke. If that's what's going around, that's what they're dealing with. I get it.
Wings entered the break third in the Atlantic with 72 points. Montreal has the same, but a game in hand. Tampa Bay still leads with 78 points, but they have 3 in hand. Good time for the Olympic break. Get Edvinsson healthy. Sky's not falling, Red Wings fans. I'm just not worried yet. Okay, Devin, shifting gears here. I know we teased this at the top of the show, but it was something I wanted to get your opinion on and how you see perceptions when they first come out in social media. So we all saw the tweet yesterday. I'm sure everyone's phone blew up because we're all geeks and we follow 800 Twitter hockey NHL insiders or whatever. Gavin McKenna charged with felony aggravated assault, misdemeanor simple assault, and 2 summary offenses, which are lesser than a misdemeanor. So those aren't the big ones. McKenna allegedly assaulted an individual while at a bar celebrating with his friends after Penn State's game on Saturday, and apparently hit a guy, broke his jaw. Now that's what we first saw come out, and then hours later the story started to kind of reveal itself at the as more details came out. But Devin, what was like when you first see that, and I'm just asking from the devilness of Twitter. When you first see that, what's your first thought reaction before you know any details of what actually occurred?
Well, I'll be the first to admit I certainly jumped to conclusions. Gavin McKenna is one of the 3 or 4 prospects that really characterizes this draft. When teams are tanking this year, he's a guy that those fans have their eyes on. He's kind of been the guy we've been watching or kind of keeping in mind for this draft for the last couple of years, just like we did with Connor McDavid and Connor Bedard and guys like that in years prior. That's McKenna this year, and to see him linked and included in a headline like that, I mean, it's not great. Like, before you get any sort of context, that's not what you want to see a prospect like that get into. Like I said, I know I jumped to conclusions too. Like immediately you're kind of thinking, is this, is this dude have like a temper tantrum problem? Is this dude, you can kind of go down the wormhole of different thoughts and ideas of what you might have about a prospect that is in those types of situations. But as you said, there's definitely more to the story here.
Yeah. And so hours later, and I got my details today. I had to listen to the sheet with Merrick. He had Mike McMahon on, I believe, to kind of fill in a little more details. And let's be clear here. Not everything has come out yet, but the fact that prosecutors dropped felony assault, aggravated assault charges today, kind of speaks volumes. At the same time, you got to think you're dealing with a college superstar who everyone knows who this player is. But I want your reaction because this is what I've been thinking about the whole time. I obviously looked at it with eyes like, "Ugh," and I think I tweeted out from our account that this isn't good. And you never want to hear stuff like that. But when you found out that it involved his mother, of all people, and you found out it was allegedly, an inebriated college student calling his mother a whore. And it's amazing just how fast your mindset can change when you hear something like that. So Devin, I know you love your mom more than anybody, dude. Hockey culture is all about. I mean, come on, Devin, you gave her the Fedorov retirement tickets for Christ's sakes, but hockey culture has always been about moms. You see these awesome mom trips that the teams do every year. When you think about hockey players and their ties to their moms, you think about, raising a kid to play hockey is a lot of work. It's very expensive. It's a lot of hours, early hours, crazy hours, ice time, all that stuff. So I feel like hockey players have like a different connection with their moms. Maybe not in general, but I'm saying maybe in general, but not in. I think that they're very close to their mothers. But then again, so is most of the population of the United States. So if someone calls my mom a whore in public, and the story, I guess, is the guy was thrown out of the bar and then challenged them again after McKenna and his family came out and was literally not stopping and going at it like this. Like, what do you do in a situation like that? I'm curious what you'd do.
The same thing McKenna did. At the end of the day, like it's tricky, and I even kind of can think about this in like a hockey sense. When McKenna plays, he's a guy that you want to stay on the ice. You don't want him in the penalty box. He's Dylan Larkin. If we're going to compare him to a Red Wing, you maybe appreciate when he is willing to engage in the physical stuff, but you don't want him throwing hands, not only because he'll end up in the penalty box, but also there's that risk of injury and all that stuff. I think of like Anthony Mantha from years ago where he broke his hand because he fought and whatnot. You never want to see skilled players doing that. That being said, there's always a code and there's always a line that you do not cross, whether that's with teammates. In this case, it's obviously not teammates, it's family, but everybody has their own little threshold of what's too far, basically, and kind of when it's time to put a stop to things. And in this scenario, again, obviously there's investigations going on and whatnot, and maybe more
Allegedly.
facts. Yes, more facts to find and whatnot. But theoretically here, the bar tried to put a stop to it. The dude gets thrown out and then he's still going. And at that point, Gavin McKenna basically is like, I'm going to take this into my own hands. It's interesting to think about kind of as you expand outwards what this says about this player as a person. I think that bare minimum, it's relatable. Like I said off the top, I do the exact same thing. If I'm out in a bar and someone's talking crap about my mom, I'm probably going to do something I regret too. Hopefully I don't end up with felony charges brought against me, but that's whatever. But the point here is that, if the information that has come out over the last 48 hours or so is factual, I don't know how you can, maybe you have like a little critique of like, man, I just hope that moving forward you just kind of stay away from those situations, but sometimes you can't, and it's about how you handle them. And I, selfishly, I don't know that I would handle it much differently than he did. So I'm not going to hold him to this impossible standard just because I think he's really good at hockey.
Do you think, and there has been talk that he might not be the number one overall pick. He's definitely going to be a top five. At worst, it ends up like a Shane Wright situation, which I don't think it will. But do you think his stock went up with NHL general managers or down with an incident like this?
That's a really interesting question. And I think the answer is probably a case by case scenario. I think some scouts, this probably doesn't really do anything for them one way or another. It doesn't really move the needle or anything. I think that generally unless he did something particularly heinous, it's not going to deter them. I think that some scouts maybe this kind of raised a flag, maybe not a red flag per se, but maybe a yellow one, right? Maybe okay, this dude is he's definitely not afraid of physical confrontations, right? Maybe that can show itself in the future off the ice or on the ice. Like I said, he's the type of player that you want on the ice, not in the penalty box. Maybe it's just kind of something you tuck away in the back of your mind. And then maybe there's other scouts that really like this. Maybe it shows that he's willing to stand up for people he cares about, whether that's teammates or family or whatever. Maybe it shows that he's not like a soft skill player or whatever, right? I don't know that I could give a definite yes, this moves the needle in this direction, because I can see how different people can have a lot of different reads on this situation. I mean, even within a 24-hour span, my read on it changed. And so I got to imagine that there's scouts out there that maybe either barely fluctuated or really didn't fluctuate at all.
Well, yeah, I mean, we talk about so much about wanting that guy on the Red Wings, that Tyler Bertuzzi type guy that we had that'll go after players that hit your star players. We saw it just a couple weeks back with Soderblom, avenging the Ridley Gregg hit on Lucas Raymond. I mean, that's been part of the game since the game started. So I'm curious, like if you don't stand up for your mom, you're not going to stand up for your teammate, are you?
And that's have you ever seen? I know you work in football. Have you ever seen Draft Day?
Yeah. Right.
Like his Gavin McKenna's teammates are going to his birthday because it kind of shows if he's willing to stand up for mom, he's probably going to be willing to stand up for them. Maybe a little different. Obviously, mom's a bit more important, but like it's he doesn't shy away from it. I think that if nothing else, future teammates will feel good about this. And like I said, they'll go to his birthday.
That's funny you brought that up, Draft Day. No, I'd beat my own ass if I didn't stand up for my mom in a situation like that. It's like you said, you can cross the line, but you also wonder, and like I saw this today in the Free Press, or maybe it was yesterday I saw this. DK Metcalf is being sued by that fan for $100 million. I don't know if you saw that.
I did not see that. That's
The
wild.
altercation that man had with the DK Metcalf when the Lions played the Seahawks.
Okay.
And so he had a press conference. I believe it was yesterday. I have no concept of time. And he sued him for $100 million, saying that DK Metcalf has, ruined his life and all this stuff. And that's like something you got to worry about now, because when you think about it, Devin, Gavin McKenna, who's, his NIL deal was like $750,000, which is like the largest ever for a hockey athlete. That's a lot of money, So then your head starts like going to other places. Like, are there people out there that'll like really just like, try to start something up to get paid? Because I mean, the dude got a broken jaw, So that's why I wonder, is it one of those situations, like is someone just trying to egg him on for a payday? And, you can't but like laugh at this guy who's trying to sue DK Metcalf for $100 million. I mean,
That's wild.
Come on. You're not getting $100 million for that shit, But no, I don't know. I think I was very when I first heard the details, like I said, not good, but yeah, I mean, his stock rose with me, man. I think you stand up for your mom no matter what. I mean, that's got to be a hockey player code. It just has to be, you know. So I wanted to get your opinion on that. I think it was a pretty crazy dynamic of how people reacted to it first on social media. I think I saw what was my favorite tweet? I think I wrote it down here. My favorite tweet. Yes, hockey has a culture problem, but McKenna knocking out a guy for calling his mom a whore and potentially getting physical is not one of the problems. Yeah, pie for pie. I 100% agree with you on that one. And as I said, the prosecutors dropped the felony aggravated assault charge today. He still faces the other two yet. So this story, I don't think is going to go away just yet. But I wanted to touch a little bit on that because I thought it was interesting.
And I think that this story really emphasizes a problem that we as a society have now. Not to get like too deep into
Get deep, baby. Get deep.
non-hockey things or anything like that, but we really do just kind of jump to conclusions based off of a headline nowadays. And it's not just in sports; it's in pretty much any topic that
It's a much broader problem.
you produce news on, right? You see, I don't want to get into examples or anything like that, but all anyone has to do to form an opinion is read a headline. And if you read the actual article, there's a lot more information there, and it'll tell you that investigations are ongoing, and there's this and that, and the story's not over. That the conclusion has not been found yet. In a lot of ways, if there's a story about it, that we just kind of jump to conclusions, and it's definitely a problem with our society nowadays. And this podcast is definitely not going to be the one that fixes it, but I think that this is just kind of a perfect example and a perfect microcosm of a much larger problem that we as a society eventually need to deal with.
Yeah, you're right. It is it's a much broader problem. And guess what, man? It's only going to get worse with AI. It already is, man. It already is. We're seeing it every day. All right, guys, we're going to cut this one short today. Family time is head this weekend as we head into Super Bowl weekend. But Devin, I know you still got 2 news and notes for us very quickly to react to.
Yes. First things first, like you kind of said off the top, Red Wings hockey is now on hold for a little bit, but Olympic hockey is just around the corner. In fact, the Winter Olympics technically started today. The women ice hockey games have
Started
actually
yesterday.
already. Yeah, exactly. They're already off and running. The men won't start until next week, but Team Canada already had to make a very significant substitution on their roster. Braden Point not able to join Team Canada at the Olympics, replaced by Carolina Hurricanes forward Seth Jarvis. Different player in the sense that Point's definitely a center. Jarvis is a winger. Jarvis obviously was part of the Team Canada team at the Four Nations that won that tournament. I think even I think it was John Cooper who was talking about how once it was clear that Point couldn't go, they kind of wanted to lean on familiarity from the group at the Four Nations tournament. Jarvis was part of that team. And so it kind of almost feels like a reward for that tournament to then now have him be the substitution for this one. What do you, I know to be honest with you, I'm a huge fan of both players, both Braden Point and Seth Jarvis. When it comes to the Olympic rosters, you're always kind of substituting one great player with another one. Evan, what do you think of this news story here?
I think there's something wrong with Braden Point this year. He's really struggled out of the gate. I know he's turned it on a little bit more later, but Tampa Bay is scary enough. If that guy gets going, watch out for that team. No, I think again, no, Braden Point is a great player. Another Stevie Yzerman find, but Seth Jarvis, I think, definitely deserves that spot. I like the player. I like the persona. He's a goofy guy on social media. I think people cheer for him. I definitely think he deserved that spot. Is there anybody else that you thought should have gone over those two?
No one immediately comes to mind. I'm sure if really kind of sat here and thought about it. I could think of others. I've seen others suggest that Connor Bedard would have been a good substitution, smaller centerman, skilled guy, probably is a better direct replacement for Braden Point.
That's
But
interesting that he didn't make the team.
it is interesting for sure, especially with Celebrini making the team too. Like, kind of an interesting line in the sand that this guy is Olympic worthy and this guy is not. But um, at the end of the day, it kind of goes back to what I said. If the debate comes down to Connor Bedard versus Seth Jarvis, I mean, at the end of the day, they're both fantastic players, and it's fantastic for Canada that they have that kind of depth to pull from when a player like Braden Point isn't able to make it. But yeah, I Seth Jarvis also, when it comes to these Olympic tournaments, they can sometimes they can definitely have playoff intensity. It's best on best. They're playing for gold medal. They're representing their countries, obviously. But I think that if they're not as intense, maybe as Stanley Cup playoffs are, I think that there's maybe even a little bit of like players don't want to get like seriously hurt in this tournament. I mean, I could be wrong about that. They are playing for Olympic gold, but from previous experience, it just kind of feels like there's an extra gear they don't go to that they do go to in the Stanley Cup final. And the reason why I'm saying all this is because I think Jarvis plays a Stanley Cup playoffs kind of game, and I think that injecting that into Canada's lineup will be very helpful for them, especially against a Team USA group that definitely seems like they want that physicality and that playoff style of game to be kind of part of their identity. I think that you need a little bit of that to counter that. And if Team Canada intends to bring home the gold again, they need to have those types of players in their lineup. And I think Jarvis will bring that for them.
Man, I'm excited for Olympic hockey. I know you are too. I always say if there was a time in my sports life I could go back to, it was the 2010 Winter Olympics in Vancouver. That was so fun. That was just amazing hockey. Just the drama, the stakes, the Crosby golden goal. I mean, that Olympics had everything. It really did. And I'm hoping this is a good one too, because I'm fired up, man.
That 2010 Olympics, that was. I remember watching that gold medal game and thinking, like, if you're watching this game and you like don't like it and you don't enjoy what you're watching, then like hockey isn't for you, because that was like peak hockey. There's been a few games in my lifetime where I'm just like, this is phenomenal. Like this is everything the sport should be. And that gold medal game in 2010 was one of them. I could not agree with you more.
I had the opportunity. I was at that game, and I've never seen anything like it. When the stadium exploded with Crosby, and obviously me and my buddy in our USA shirts had to get the hell out fast, but we didn't have any problems with anyone getting out of there. That was it. Yeah, I mean, that's why you call it the golden goal, the USA versus Canada. Just the hype living up to that one. God, I want to see it again, and the networks want to too.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
Just curious how this ice plays out, man, because did you see that they lost the power right off the top of the Olympics in, like, what was it?
Yes.
The skating event or a luge? Or not luge.
Like, yeah.
There's something indoor, and they lost power in the building already. That's crazy, man. You have this many years to prepare for the biggest event your country's, gonna ever feature or host, and your power goes out in the first event.
It's wild. Obviously we've kind of been talking about the construction of the ice arena and whatnot, and it's crazy how much of it just kind of feels like that kid that put off the project until like the last minute.
Yeah,
and they're kind of scrambling to get it all put together, and they finished it. They're able to present it the next day at school, but you can kind of tell that, like, oh yeah, they waited to the last minute for this. Like, that's just kind of what I get out of this, and it's crazy because it's the Olympics of all things. But I digress.
You're describing me middle school through college right now.
And we're still here. You made it out all right, right?
Barely.
Pivoting from the Olympics back to the NHL, probably the biggest non-Olympic, non-Red Wings news that happened in the league this week. Obviously, the Olympic roster freeze went into effect, and right before that freeze went into effect, the New York Rangers did in fact trade Artemi Panarin. Maybe somewhat surprisingly, they traded him to the LA Kings. They traded him for prospect Liam Greentree, who was a former first-round pick of the LA Kings, a conditional third-round pick in 2026, as well as a conditional fourth-round pick in 2028. And then after acquiring Panarin, the Kings extended him on a 2-year deal with an average annual value, AAV, of $11 million. Artemi Panarin is now an LA King. Clearly likes big markets, obviously started in Chicago, went over to, he had a stop in Columbus, I guess, and then went over to New York, and now he's in LA. Evan, what were your thoughts when you saw this trade go down?
I knew he wasn't coming to Detroit. I mean, come on, we all knew that. I just the fit wasn't there. I'll tell you what I think it is, and what I think the LA Kings are doing is, they're giving Kopitar a chance down the stretch here, and you still get like 2 more productive years out of I think Artemi Panarin. He's 35, and this Kopitar thing coming up. They're actually playing the Oilers, his last home game, and it's a pretty big moment out here for LA hockey, because you got to think like Kopitar, probably the biggest king since Gretzky, at least the most famous. You can make that argument. Maybe not Drew Doughty. I think it's Kopitar. You can say it's Kopitar, and yeah, I think it's gonna, they're gonna have one last run with him. It's a salute to your captain, your leader, your guy who's been the face of your franchise for the last 20 years, or 2017, something close to like that. I was told there'd be no math today. But yeah, for Red Wings fans, I don't think I saw too many people that were butthurt about the Red Wings not getting Panarin. I think it would have been interesting, but I don't think that's the kind of player that the Red Wings need at this point. Yeah, he's a star. He's a 35-year-old star. 4 years ago, talk to me. Yeah, I'd definitely be a little interested. But again, like you see everything that comes out on that hellscape that we call Twitter, that he really wanted to go to LA. The return, I think, was expected. Liam Greentree was a first-round pick. I saw him play at a couple of Kings prospects camps. I don't think he really stood out. Put up 119 points last season in the OHL, down to 45 and 35 games this year, which is still a decent pace. But I don't know if he's the biggest prospect as people are going to make him out to be. He's a big forward, winger. I don't know. I mean, I think New York is basically telling the rest of the NHL world that this experiment they've done the last few years is probably over, and they're going to go on a full rebuild. And that's a team that doesn't have a very good prospect pool. You know all about prospect pools, Devin. So I think it was expected, and I'm not worried about it. At least he came out to the West Coast.
I think maybe the most interesting news that came out after the Panarin contract was that Seattle was like a very aggressive pursuer of Artemi Panarin, and I guess was even willing to offer him a 4-year contract. Interesting. I guess the thing that was interesting there is Seattle was definitely not on my radar for Panarin, at all. I don't think they were on his, to be honest, either. But it also kind of shows me that the Kraken are they want to make some noise. Like acquiring Panarin definitely would have been a significant, probably the most significant move that franchise has made. And obviously it's still a very young franchise, but they're wanting to move forward. And now that they whiffed on this Panarin opportunity, keep an eye on them. They clearly have an appetite for a big move, and I think that one way or another they might get it done. From the Red Wings perspective, obviously that's what we're supposed to focus on here. I'm with you. I haven't seen a lot of people torn up about it. I haven't seen a lot of people, not nearly as many people upset about this as they were about the Quinn Hughes thing not happening. Not nearly as many. And I think that what it comes down to for me, because I don't necessarily see this as a big missed opportunity for the Red Wings either. What it comes down to for me is if you're bringing in Panarin to basically replace Patrick Kane, then I guess, because I can rationalize that. But if it's pretty much anything else, I don't think you need another, because Panarin's basically just Kane. Like, I think that they have a very similar skill set. I think that they do a lot of the same things. I think they're both soft skilled type of players. I'm not putting Panarin out there to protect a 1-goal lead. I'm not putting Kane out there to do that either. Like, I just kind of think that they both do a lot of the same things. And if you're, I believe that that Detroit's pretty well committed to having Kane in a Red Wings uniform as long as he wants to have one. May very well be until he retires. I don't think you need to bring in Artemi Panarin either. If you're going to bring in another forward, one with a different skill set than that would be preferred. I'm kind of thinking more of a someone who's willing to be a bit scrappy and somebody who can maybe bring a line together differently than an Artemi Panarin can. Obviously a very good player. I think that he does make the Kings better. And I think that he'll definitely put up points, whether he's playing with Kopitar or Laferriere or whoever he's going to play with. But I never really saw a fit for Detroit like maybe some others did.
I talked to some Rangers fans at work, and what I said, save that money for Jason Robertson. If the Red Wings can, and he's a restricted free agent after this season, the season he's having, and Jason Robertson does have ties to the Michigan area, save that money for Jason Robertson. You get about 8 years younger and kind of more of a fit of the kind of player that the Red Wings need right now, and he's having a hell of a season too. That's another guy who's not on Team USA's roster.
Robertson, yeah.
Like, that's crazy to me. Like, the numbers he's putting up the last 2 years, that's nuts, but we could go down that wormhole too.
We talk about how Canada has all this talent and depth they can pull from. Team USA certainly has a lot of depth they can pull from too, so much so that you're seeing players like Jason Robertson hang out during this time instead of playing Olympic hockey. It's crazy how far. We talk about that 2010 gold medal game. It's crazy to think about how far USA hockey has come from that point, let alone 20, 30 years ago.
All right, guys, that's going to do it for episode 71 of the Flying Octopus podcast. February 26th are when the Red Wings return to action in Ottawa. Could there be a more perfect game for the Red Wings to come back, a more perfect opponent, for the Red Wings to come back and play after a long Olympic stretch and the doubts in some people's head right now with this mini losing streak? Like, I couldn't think of anyone better to just show up and hopefully the Kachuk brothers just beat the shit out of all those people, and they're banged up, and the Red Wings are in good shape. Hopefully Mercider, Larkin, and Raymond, we wish them the best. And don't forget, as Edward Trailmarks, right, is also playing for is it Latvia? Yeah. So good luck. Shout out to our Olympians. We're going to take a week off and be back following week with Olympic talk. So until then, go USA. Thanks for joining me, buddy. We'll talk soon.
Thanks for listening to the Flying Octopus podcast. Follow us on YouTube at the Flying Octopus channel and Twitter at Flying Octopod.